Just 1 minute. Good afternoon to all of you. Welcome for this webinar series. Today we are having our expert Dr. Horishankar Mukherjee, and it would be a great opportunity during our international conference also. And it was a great learning at that time also. And today we are going to get.
Hello.
Madam, I am able to connect.
Yes, ma'am, you're very much clearly audible. I request the webinar section to please mute yourself. There's a disturbance in the background.
Okay. So shall I continue?
नहीं ये तो हमारी पास भी कोई नहीं हमारी पास ये कोई सत्ता नहीं रिन्यूअल वाला मांगे तो ये वेबसाइट पर
Yes, madam.
हमें ईमेल का भी प्रेफर
I think ma'am
हमारे रिजेक्शन से बस तो मैं तो शांति रखा तो आओ सेकंड की फेब्रुआरी 2021
Hello. I would like to give a brief introduction about.
पास वो कोई तो तेरा नंबर नहीं है ना मैं भी ईमेल पर कम्युनिकेट करें जितना मैं ईमेल पर कम्युनिकेट करूँ
I'm calling them. I'm calling them.
हाँ नहीं मैं इसमें जो वेबसाइट में है तो मैं गाइडलाइंस में है मैं नया ईमेल आईडी लेके वांची ले हाँ
Hi, Professor Bijal.
Hello,
Yeah.
Are you getting my voice?
Yes, Professor. I'm getting your voice.
Yes, fine, sir.
Yes.
After our international conference, we are glad to connect with you.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Wish you a happy new year, Professor.
Same to you, sir. Same to you.
Thank you.
I am waiting for Sapna madam's green signal. Once I get it, I will start it.
Sure. No issues.
Bijal ma'am, are you there?
Yes, madam. I am here. That's it, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon. Okay, so continue.
Sir,
Okay.
sir is
Okay.
there.
Okay. So just Horishankar sir, just I would like to give a brief introduction about yourself. Today we are having expert for this webinar. Sir is having more than 17 years of experience and working as a principal education assessment at Infosys Limited. Sir is having a diverse work of experience for multiple industry banks region at Infosys Limited. Sir has provided training to more than season training for these schools. Very vast experience, just more 2-3 dimensions. 15 articles, Cooper's, ABDC journal, 9 conference papers, and 14 MDP, FDP. At one consultant assigned at the New Indian Express, and sir has already many multinational as well as national business schools as an expert speaker. So it would be a great opportunity to Faculty of Management Studies MBA students to learn great insights from Horishankar sir. Today we are having with us is the moderator for this program, and if students are having any queries, any doubts, you can discuss out the same thing with a question answer chat method with for providing your valuable time for all of us. We can start your session. I would like to hand over platform to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bijal ma'am. Okay, so thank you, Bijal ma'am, and thank you, Sapna, for inviting me to this Parul University webinar series. And this topic, which I'm going to deliberate on essentially effectiveness of your communication skill, is something which is extremely close to my heart and something which I have expertise in. So Bijal ma'am has already spoken about me and about my background. So I come with a diverse experience across multiple industries, and that is essentially what I will do here, is essentially share my experience with all of you. And you would listen, and if you have any queries, feel free to type it in the chat box. I will answer it then and there, because there are about 65 people. So if you have any queries, you can chat it there. You can ask your questions and I will start answering them as and when I go by. And at the end also, if you have any queries, you can feel free to ask me. So I'm sharing my presentation now. No, not a presentation essentially, and it's a small deck that I have. Okay. So this is differentiating yourself at work. This is what we'll be doing, and how to use your communicating skills effectively. So 2 of my books, The Gift of the Gab is also about communicating, and Business Communication Connecting at Work is also a book, which is the one which you see on the right hand side is published by Oxford University Press, and the ones on the left hand side is published by Sage. So if you have plenty of time in hand, read the book on the right. And if you are a professional, or if you are going into corporates and you do not have too much of time, read the book on the left. I think that is what is going to help you out. Okay. So I'll be talking from neither. So most of it will be my pure play experience that I would be sharing. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Now, couple of things that I want to tell you and also warn you about. Right? Although warning is not a good way of starting any conversation, but this is how it happens. Now, if you look at the entire market of B school students who are passing out year after year, and all of you are in a business school, in a very reputed business school, most of you would be taking up jobs after this. Some of you would be probably be starting your own business, or you already have a setup and wherein you are going to fit in and you are going to run the show. Now, what is happening as a result of this entire market of business school is that the supply of B school students has become tremendously huge. Right? I don't know whether you are aware of this or not, but number of B schools, even if you look at your city of Baroda, and if you look at the or state of Gujarat, and if you look at the number of B schools that are there in Gujarat, just Gujarat, I think that itself would cater to about 25% of the country's managerial needs. Right? And every state would be having B schools all around. Now, in those situations, when B schools are floating all around, it is very important for you to differentiate yourself from the others. Is the first thing that you have to understand. And one of the things that essentially recruiters would essentially look into you while they are hiring you are your communication skills. It could be written, it could be spoken, but primarily it is spoken, because not many companies I know of who tests your written skills. But yes, there are certain companies, but not many probably. So let's say, for example, you get through them, right? You get through you get through the oral interview and you have your requisite knowledge. You are able to demonstrate whatever they are looking in from your profile, and then finally you are placed in the organization. Now, after you are placed in the organization, there is a second set of challenge that you will be facing. The challenge is that organizations today are large and diverse. Right? Let me give you an example. Say, for example, a company like Infosys, we have about 2.5 lakh people. If you go to TCS, it will be about 3.5 lakh or 4 lakh probably. First is diversity in terms of not only the geographical diversity. I am saying when I'm talking about diversity, I'm talking about only the geographical diversity. Second problem that you will be facing is that your team members will be spread all around. So some would be in Bangalore, some in Delhi, some in Calcutta, some in US, and they are working in various time zones. And the third problem that you will face is that your manager may not be sitting, or your reporting manager or your higher ups may not be sitting at the same location where you are based out of. And this is true for IT. This is going to be true for most of you in your work life. And this is something which is appearing. This is coming up, except for sectors like manufacturing, some areas like service, right? High-end consumer services or customer services. Rest all, a major part of your job is going to be virtual. Another problem that I foresee, or you all guys will also be facing, is the span of control. Today, if you look at the managers, a manager virtually would have a large team would consist of 40 to 50 people. In the IT industry, it is absolutely not uncommon for a manager to have 40 to 50 reportees under him. I'm a lucky soul. I do not have so many reportees with me. I have just 2 or 3 of them. So it does not matter for me. It really does not matter for me. But just imagine you are in a team wherein you are competing with 39 or 40 people to make your presence felt in the organization or in your team is really a tough task. Why is it a tough task? It is a tough task because all of them are doing similar kind of work. Everyone. So your colleague is also doing the same thing. You are also doing the same thing. In fact, all 39 people are doing the same thing. Now, a question that arises is, what are you doing which others are not doing? That's the first thing. And second is, how do you communicate effectively in such an environment? Even if your manager or your colleagues are sitting in the same office, same branch, you have to differentiate yourself. Now, if you look at the hard skills, that is your skills related to banking, skills related to finance, skills related to the sector, your job, all of your colleagues are at the same level, or your coding skills or your consulting skills, all of them are at the same level. You will know as much as they do. So really your work would definitely be a differentiator. Yes, the quality of work that you do would definitely be your differentiator, but what would essentially differentiate you from others is essentially your communication skill. How you communicate with your peers, how do you communicate with your manager, how do you communicate with the other stakeholders, how do you communicate to your juniors, how do you communicate with the other team members, are some of the things that you essentially need to take care of. Now, this is the reason why differentiating with respect to your communication skills once you go in the organization becomes very, very important. Let me take an example from my own life and let me give you. So I have been working in a team, the previous manager I had worked under. We had worked together for 6 years. 6 years we worked together, of which I had met him. He was based out of Bangalore, of which I had met him only twice. 2 times in 6 years I had met him. Now why? When he used to come to Hyderabad, previously I was based out of Hyderabad. So when he used to come to Hyderabad from Bangalore, either I was traveling or he came at a time when I was not in office, or when I went to Bangalore, he probably was not there, or probably would have gone on a tour, or something would have happened and we never met up. We got a chance only to meet thrice, I think, in a period of 6 years. Another example, my recent manager, we are working together for about 2 years now, and I have never met her. The last time that I met her was 11 years back, when she was not even my manager. She was a part of the organization. We had just met for a casual cup of coffee, but I have never met her from the last 2 years, ever since she has become my manager. She's based out of Pune. I'm based out of Bhubaneswar. Now, in such a scenario, right, how do you effectively communicate? Now, we'll try and resolve this problem, but before trying to resolve this problem, one thing that you must realize and recognize, I really do not know whether Parul University prescribes communication as one of the important parameters for you all, and whether you have a subject on, I hopefully you all guys do. Most of the students that I have spoken across in universities and colleges across India, they do not take business communication seriously. Now, business communication is kind of, when you are coming first into the MBA colleges, most of the faculties would say economics is the most important, finance is the most important, marketing is your life and bread, everything is your life and bread apart from business communication. But there is a problem with that logic. I have a serious problem with that logic. While that is equally important, what is even more important is essentially nurturing your communication skills. Why? Because the knowledge of marketing, finance, HR, all of these are your hard skills, right? All of them would have similar kind of skills. But what differentiates you from others are your soft skills, or the communication skills. We never take them seriously. I also never took it until I started working, and I realized that the communication plays a very important role while you are working in organization. So therefore, as a student, the first thing that I want you all to understand and realize that there is a must, or it is a must for you all guys, that you all work upon your communication skills. Yeah, Sapna has already said that there is a separate department for developing communication at Parul. Thanks, Sapna. So if it is there, you all guys must take advantage of it. And how do you do that? I'll tell you how do you do that. Now, once you have realized that it is a skill, right? And you cannot achieve that in 2 years, 3 years, and so on and so forth. Even if you ask me, are you a perfect communicator as of today? The answer to that question is no. I am not. I'm still learning. So communication, like any other skill, is a lifelong learning that you will have to do. Till the last day of your life, you have to constantly work on improving yourself. Because until and unless you do that, you will not be able to achieve perfection with what you do. Probably on the last day of your life also, you will not be able to achieve. But yes, you will bring it to a certain standard or a level which will make you different from the rest of the people. Correct? Now, once you have realized that, first thing that you should understand is that try and look at the various areas of communication. Whether it is, start with 4 things. LSRW. I'm writing this for every one of you. So start this with these 4. This is the easiest way to remember this. Your listening skills, your speaking skills, your reading skills, and your writing skills. Start with this. These are the 4 basic ones that you should start with. This will at least take you through the first 3-4 years in the organization. Your ability to listen, not hear. Hearing and listening are 2 different things. Second, your ability to speak. Speak in front of an audience. Talk in front of an audience confidently. Your ability to read diverse stuff. I'm not talking about page 3 stuff, which comes up in Times of India, especially the supplemental times, right? The Bangalore Times, Bangalore Mirrors, and the Odisha Mirror and all. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about serious reading, serious business reading, and writing. These are the 4 things you all must work with. That is the first step in the process. Apart from that, if you feel that you have other areas which needs to be improved, say for example, don't shortlist or don't have more than 4 areas wherein you all guys have to improve. Say for example, you have more than 4. You personally, you should introspect and figure that out. What are the areas that I need to improve? Now, once you have introspected and once you have figured it out, which are the areas I need to improve, then start working on them. Take a span of a year or a year and a half and start working on them and start developing yourself on these 4 areas. Right? And by the time you pass out of Parul University, I am sure you all guys will be able to be different from where you have started today. So that is my first thing. And constantly engage yourself, take feedback, see if you are improving, and take a corrective course of action. Now, when it comes to communication in the organization, there are certain things that would definitely differentiate you from the rest of the people who are there in the team. Now, you are passing out of a good B school. Now, the moment the company is hiring you, they would expect you to be productive from the day one. And to be productive in such a chaos is not only difficult, but very challenging. Now, say for example, your ability to listen. So whenever somebody is talking to you, you have to hear him or her out patiently. So that is the first most important thing of your listening skills, for example. Now, if you do not adopt this or if you do not practice this basic essence of listening, you will not be recognized well in your office, especially by your colleagues and your juniors who are reporting to you after a certain point in time, because you will have reportees after 1 or 2 years. At that point in time, you will face a great amount of difficulty in listening to them. They will not take you with an amount of seriousness if you are not listening to them. Say, for example, you go to your father or your mom and you want to say something to them and they are busy on their mobile phone, or they say, okay, you tell me, I'm listening to you. Automatically, what will happen is that your motivation level to say that out or open your heart out will automatically reduce. And that is the reason why you should pay or give your full attention to the person who is coming to you to essentially talk. So this is the first important thing or first important message that I want all of you guys to carry forward. So listen to your people. So whatever trouble, you may not be able to give them an immediate solution. But what is important here is that you listen to them so that they are able to appreciate that, and they are able to appreciate that there is somebody who is listening to them. Second, listening also has a inherent set of advantage. The biggest advantage of listening skills are, or your ability or your willingness to listen, is that you get to know a lot of things which in your otherwise routine course of work you will not be knowing. Say, for example, there are 10 friends who are sitting together and discussing something on diverse topic, just random discussion. Be rest assured that if you are the one amongst that group who is listening, you will gather something which you never knew. So it happens in organizations as well. So if you are listening to your team, or if you are listening to your manager, obviously to your manager, you will have a tendency to listen. If you are doing that, you will learn something new which adds value to yourself. You can use that component essentially in building yourself up. It must be something new about the organization, some new initiative that the organization would have taken, or some new role or some new people who would have joined the organization, something value adding that you are doing in the organization. So that is essentially where your listening capabilities will help you. So this is the first thing that I want to tell you essentially for differentiating yourself. So listening skills are the most important, one of the most important skills to differentiate yourself. For example, let's take another example and take this forward. Say, for example, you are in a customer facing role. Listening to your customers would become very important, because often your manager is connected with the customer and he takes a feedback about you from your customer. Many companies have a performance appraisal wherein you need to go to your customer and take a feedback from him about your interaction with a particular client. At that point in time, all of these will matter a lot. Okay. Next, we come down to are your ability to speak. Now, whenever we talk about communication and whenever we are talking about our speaking capabilities, we essentially mean that it is in English. Although English is a primary language of business, it may not be in English. For example, if you go to Bangalore, if you are from Bangalore and if you go to Bangalore, there are certain pockets within Bangalore who speak pure Kannada, right? They would not even entertain you. Or for example, you go to Madras, please, Chennai is still okay. But if you go to certain parts of Tamil Nadu or within the city of Chennai, you would find a lot of resistance in people talking to you in Hindi, right? So it will go for other states as well, correct? Now, say, for example, you are placed in all of these locations for your work, correct? Now, your ability to speak will become very important in such scenarios. So if you say, for example, you are in Pune and you have to learn Marathi, correct? Pick up some lines of Marathi. You may not be fluent for the first few days, but try and start initiating a conversation in their local language. May not be at office, but with your customers, for example. That will immediately build up a relationship or a rapport. And later on, you can say, Mala Marathi ayat nahi, for example, right? That's the first thing that you say after speaking 2 lines, right? And you realize, and people realize that you don't know, right? And probably they will slowly start and switch over to the language which both of you are comfortable with. So that is the second one. To make your presence felt within the organization and within your team, it is essential that you speak out and speak up. Okay. So speak out is essentially speak your mind with some logic. Say, for example, you have some concerns in the organization, or you have some ideas which you want to say, right? You just don't know whether that idea is good or bad. So you speak out your idea, you speak out your mind. Not always, you don't do that always, correct? But you speak out your idea. So that is a very important concept in the organization. So your manager is also looking in for new ideas. Say, for example, your manager asks you, what are the new things that we can do this year? While your entire team is silent or they are beating around the bush in the same point, it is time for you to take the lead and take the charge in essentially speaking out. This is called as speaking out. You are connecting with your audience, giving out your set of thoughts, unique set of thoughts which have not been spoken about, and that is essentially what is going to give you your set of brownie points. Your manager will take you with a favorable set of look. So they will probably take a look at you very favorably. Second is speak up. So whenever you are facing a problem in the organization, make sure that you are raising that up in the organization. Say, for example, you are facing an issue with a client, correct? So I'll give you a typical scenario on how to manage this. So there was this lady in my office, first company I used to work, not here. So the first organization that I used to work. And we were all in sales role. She was also in sales role. One particular customer was behaving very, I would not say rudely, but very flirty with her. Let me be very honest with that. Now, so what happened as a result of this was she came and I was not her manager. One day we went for tea and she came and told me that, Hodi, this is what is happening. So I suggested her that this is the time that you should go ahead and speak to a general manager regarding this. Because this is going in a different direction. I realize that this is not right. This is definitely not a professional relationship and this is not going right. And that is the time essentially when you intervene and when you start talking out to senior ups. So she was a little hesitant, but I pushed her a lot and she went finally to the general manager to essentially talk about this. So the general manager listened to all of this and picked up the phone and changed her team. So no more interaction with the customer, changed her to a completely different location altogether, and the problem got resolved in a fraction of a second. So until and unless you are speaking up, if you are facing a problem, you will never ever be able to get what you want. So say, for example, you need a promotion. There are 40 other guys who are vying for that same promotion and you feel that you are very eligible for that promotion. So until and unless you speak up and you speak out, you will not be able to get that. Correct? That's the second one. These are the two things. There could be other ideas as well in terms of speaking. For example, the third idea, which I would definitely like to give you while you are working in organization is that take every opportunity to brand yourself while you are talking, right? Say, for example, there is a forum wherein they are looking at somebody who can present or be the MC for that occasion. MCs get the maximum limelight apart from the awardees, right? So it is always better if you can always volunteer to make the presentation, the first presentation. Always volunteer to help your boss out with his work. Always volunteer to present yourself or get the opportunity to make a presentation, any kind of presentation, right? So that is essentially what will help you stand out from the rest of the audience who is already there with you, right? So that will essentially be a differentiator for yourself. Third is so we are going to now to the third point, which is your reading skills or your ability to read. Okay. Now you can ask a question that what has reading to do with communication skills? Now, although not directly, but reading has a lot to do with your other skills, that is L, S, and W. All of these are very interconnected with one another. The moment you read well, it gives you a certain degree of depth within yourself, right? So there is a saying, "Khali bartan awaz zyada karta hai." Some similar saying. You have it in every language, Bengali, Tamil. Everyone will have something like that. So the more and more well-read you are, right, it will show up in you as a person. Say, for example, there is a talk or a discussion that is going on in the area of cloud, in the area of blockchain, or in the area of cloud. Correct? Can you with confidence talk about that subject for 2 to 3 minutes If the answer to that question is yes, right, then probably you are well read. And these may be diverse set of topics. If I ask you to talk about search engine optimization, for example, for 2 to 3 minutes, if I ask you to talk about the latest farm bill, right, which Modi government is facing a lot of struggle with getting the cognizance of the farmers, can you talk about that for 3 to 4 minutes or 5 minutes uninterruptedly? Correct? If that is the case, if yes is your answer, then you are well read. You should always spend a certain amount of time in your organization reading, because that is essentially what will help you grow in the organization. Previously, in our parents' generation, what used to happen? They used to get into one job, they used to retire from there. My father worked with only 2 companies. Indian Army, first one is of course not a company, Indian Army and Coal India Limited, 2 jobs. My mom, only 1 job. But will it be that for your case? The answer to that question is now no. I have worked in 5 companies. Right? Many of my friends have worked in 15, 20 companies. I passed out in 2003, and this is 2020. About say in 17 years, many of my friends have changed about 15 companies, and I have changed about 5 companies. So the answer to that question is nobody is married to their job. So you have to understand that you need to appreciate not only your business. Say, for example, you are working in media. You have to have a very good understanding of as much as of finance, as much as of IT. Because if you look at any of the organizations working today, you will find that IT is the backbone of that company. Anything that you are trying to do, whether it's Ola, Uber, or whether it is a manufacturing firm like Bajaj, or whether it is a services firm like, say, for example, PricewaterhouseCoopers, or whether it's a PSU, even government PSUs, even they are also highly backed with technology. So if you are saying that I'm a finance guy, I'm a pure play finance guy, and I don't understand, say, for example, robo-advisory in mutual funds, absolutely not done. You have to be well read about robo-advising functions as well, because you really do not know whether you are going into the fintech market after 5 years. You have to appraise yourself of digital payments. You have to understand what is a UPI. You have to understand what is BHIM, how it works, how the interconnectivity works. You have to understand about blockchain. Although you might be selling mutual funds, doesn't matter, but you will have to still understand about your industry very well. So this knowledge which you are gathering over a period of time, that will give you depth, and that depth will show up when you start to speak. Are you getting it? When you start to listen to people, this is coming to my second point. When you start listening to people, what will happen is that you will have a sense of understanding of what those people are talking about. Say, for example, you have been called for a discussion by a client, correct? And the client is working in some other industry, you are in some other industry. For example, typically happens in IT. Client is in some other industry and we are in the IT industry, but we need to understand what that industry is all about, correct? So if you are well read, it will help you in the long run. So ensure that you spend a good amount of your time reading. The fourth one is the most neglected out of the communication skills are your writing skills. And most of the people do not spend enough importance or do not give enough importance to the aspect of writing. Although you do not do much of writing, because the writing that you do only is email, probably short memos, short notes that you write. You generally do not write reports. In my last 17, 18 years of career, hardly I have written some 4 or 5 reports until and unless you really require it. And all of them were small reports, not really big time reports. Now, except for those scenarios or except for those situations, your writing skills will come very handy when you are drafting or writing emails. Or it will come very handy when you are starting your own business. Say, for example, you have started a food joint in Baroda, a small, say a say a dosa sandwich joint, something fascinating in Baroda. And don't forget to invite me as well. I can be a chief guest. Okay. Now, say for example, you have opened that. Now you are planning to now open franchises to all the corporates across Baroda. Only the city of Baroda, some 10, 12 companies you are targeting. Now, to all these HR managers, you are writing a letter, say for example, asking them to give you a space to set up your stall. Correct? Now, how do you pitch that? How do you sell your idea? You have only a one-page email that you can write or one-page formatted letter that you can write. How do you do that? Correct? So these are some of the writing skills that will come very handy. Second is when you write day-to-day, if you look at day-to-day communication in your organization, you will find that many people do not take writing very seriously. They do it as if they will have to do it. Some job they will have to do, some kind of task has been assigned to them. They are not very serious at writing. So some kind of writing, somehow they want to convey their idea and finish it off. That's an example of very bad communication, because most of the time, whenever a mail comes to me and I see that the information that is required for me to take an action is not there, I will do two things. Either I will delete that or I will not answer that. If I do not have too much of time, I will delete that. Or otherwise, what I will do is I will ask for a clarification. Now, more and more clarifications you are asking, you are wasting my time and you are wasting his time. Now, why you are wasting my time? On an average, I get about 300 emails a day at office. And God forsaken, if I go on leave for 1 week or 5 days, that's it. Another 2 days will, after coming back from the holiday, first 2 days I will spend only in clearing my mails. That's my first task. Go into the do not disturb mode, and first 2 days I sit back and I clear all my mails. On an average day, if you are getting about 300 mails, and of that only 10% of that is 30 mails, you have to take action. When is the time for you to do productive work? Tell me. So that means you have to respond to 30 mails, 30 emails. Where is your time? When will you do the work at office? So full day you will be sitting in front of your mailbox and you will be responding to those emails. So ensure that when you are sending out a mail, or when you are receiving a mail, or when you are sending out a mail as a sender, not as a receiver will have, and again, another set of challenges. When you are sending the mail, first thing that you should understand, or you write, or make it very clear that the context is clear. The context is clear. The reader should be able to understand what you have said first. Second is, what exactly are you trying to tell him? Are you trying to ask him for more money? Are you trying to ask him to give his approval? Are you telling him something different? That should be very clear from that email that you have written, or any kind of communication that you do. Second, if there are too many people that you have to send out a communication to, avoid writing emails. Avoid writing any kind of messages. The best way to do in certain situations, or best way to handle these situations, is to talk to people, because talking is much more richer than writing. Writing in organizations would not bring in the next Booker Prize for literature to you, would not give you the Nobel Prize in literature. But what it will do for sure is that it will create an identity for yourself. So if your writing skills are very powerful, if you feel that you do an excellent job with writing, start pitching yourself, or start pitching your writing activities in LinkedIn. So that is again one more way of branding yourself. Say, for example, you have recently undergone or undertaken a certification from SEBI. Some certification, some mutual funds module, something that SEBI offers, NSE, BSE offers. Maybe you have created, or the CFS certification, say, for example, or search engine optimization certification from, say, Udemy. Now you have gone through that journey or you have recently paid a visit to Europe. Your parents have taken you to Europe for a vacation, or say Haridwar for vacation. Forget Europe. Let's come to our own India. Haridwar for vacation. And after coming back, you feel that it was amazing, and you can use that opportunity of putting that vacation on why you need a vacation or how was Haridwar, and you can draft a wonderful blog and you can post it on LinkedIn. You can do a small write-up and post it on LinkedIn. I'll give you one example of this. I am very active on Quora. I hope you all guys understand what Quora is. Quora is that online forum, social media forum, wherein people ask questions and write answers. I had written an answer about 5-6 years back on writing skills. Now, after reading, and I forgot about it, and nobody upvoted me on that answer. Thank you for that. After 6 years, one guy called me up about a month back. After reading that answer, did research about my profile and called me back. And he said that he is starting his own company and he wants my help in essentially communicating to his audience or communicating to his stakeholders or potential stakeholders about his business. Right? So this is essentially how writing can help you. So if you have that capability or if you have that knack, start building your own brand. So writing, as much as listening, as much as speaking, as much as reading, writing can also help you build your brand. For example, when I went for my US visit, it was a big cultural shock for me. Right? My first US visit that I went for. A lot of things are different. For example, common thing, they have bathtubs, right? The hotel wherein I was put up, for example, in Hyatt in Texas, they have kitchens. If you go to any of the Indian hotels, we don't have kitchens. They have an inbuilt kitchen. The beds are huge, right? Now, I thought after coming back, I thought that I will write a blog on my first US visit. I do these writings. If you Google me, you will find me. You will get a lot of them. But I could not do it. A big bandwidth issue. I did not find time and stuff like that. So if you have that ability or willingness to write, make use of that, strengthen your writing ability, and you will be able to differentiate yourself not only within the organization, but outside the organization as well. Let me take an example of a US professor who had told me about this incident. So there is this Indian guy, and their entire family migrated to US. So I'm talking at that university next month in February. I'm talking University of Wisconsin. So that professor teaches there. So I'm taking some sessions for these guys. So I connected. I met with that professor in one of the conferences, and so I was moderating their discussion. So this professor told me about how his ability to speak helped him. So he made, before the 2019 elections, he made a video on an analysis of the Indian political leaders. The leaders who were MPs from 2014 to 2019, their backgrounds, criminal backgrounds, what have they done and stuff like that, and what good work that they did, what they promised and they did not do, and stuff like that. And he posted it on YouTube. Now, after doing that, he kept quiet. He forgot about it, and he did some analysis, presented the data, made a good video of himself, and he posted it on YouTube. Now, after doing that, he forgot about it. An Indian news channel got in touch with this professor. And after that, he asked him for a half-an-hour slot, essentially from that professor, to, as a bite in the television, exactly a replication of the research work that he had done. So that half-an-hour slot was given to him, and that professor essentially traveled, and he gave that bite before the 2019 elections. Correct? So how it helps you, where it helps you, I really do not know. Neither will you know. But definitely, if you have the power, it will start working for you. So 2 incidents I told you. Hopefully you are convinced by now that it is going to help you. Apart from the LSRW, whatever you are trying to do, there are certain other things that I would want to suggest you. For example, your non-verbal communications, how you sit, how you talk, how you listen to people, maintaining of the eye contact. Say, for example, you are not looking at me. I can't see any one of you, but all of you can see me. Correct? All of you can see me. And many times people are not confident of facing the camera. Right? Now, when you are not confident of facing the camera, there is this lady from LinkedIn who had given this idea. So somewhere one of the persons had said and suggested, and that is what she had put up on LinkedIn. So use the bindi approach. Take your mother's bindi and put it just beside the camera. Right? Don't put it on the camera. Your camera would get blocked. Put it beside that. And don't look at the camera. Look at only the bindi. That is called as the bindi approach of looking at the camera in a virtual session. So the audience will feel that you are looking at the camera. But what you are actually looking at is the bindi. Correct? So that is essentially what gives you your concept of eye contact. Many people, they are very scared of making eye contact. Very scared. Whenever they talk, they put their hands in their pockets. Right? Or say, for example, they fidget with in their shoulders, scratch their heads and stuff like that. They slouch on the chair wherein they're sitting. They can't even sit straight. So all these are examples of poor nonverbal communication skills. These are very poor signs. And I can actually read a person if that person is talking for a long time, right? At least a fair duration of 15-20 minutes. And if you know or if you understand nonverbal communication skills, you will be able to understand whether that person is genuinely being honest or not. Whether his words that he speaks and whether his feelings, whether it is matching or not. Very, very important. So as a beginner, when you are going into the organization, so I will end it up here. I'll end up the discussion here. So I would suggest you to start working upon 4 things: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. I explained you the importance. After that, if you have time, start focusing on your nonverbal skills. After that, there are other things as well. For example, leadership, communication, and stuff like that. Building your resume, selling yourself as a brand. That definitely we can look at it once you are in the industry and once you have worked for 4 years or 5 years. We can definitely look at that. So let me summarize with whatever. You can start asking the question. You can start typing in the chat box, but let me summarize this. First, realize or recognize that you need to improve your communication skills. Which communication skills? Primarily listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and nonverbal. List out the areas wherein you are weak at. This is the third thing that I would want all of you to do. After you have listed out, start working on them. Discuss with your faculty or what Sapna has suggested, the separate department to do that. Start working with them. Try and develop, build, rework on that essentially till you reach the perfection. Or at least near perfection. Not perfection, near perfection. Don't even try to be perfect. That's okay, fair enough. But at least rise your levels from where you are. Once you have done that, once your job is done, or once you have achieved that, try and figure out or try and replicate the same thing while you are in the organization. This is your activity till the end, till the time you do not pass out of the Parul University. After you have passed out from the Parul University, then once you hit the organization, the next thing that you should be doing is essentially branding and differentiating yourself in the organization, because you have to realize that the only way to do that is trying to be a good communicator. And you have to be very good at your work. Very good at your work is something like your bread and butter. Say, for example, I ask all the faculty members at Parul, how do they teach? So it's like bread and butter for them. Right? Day in and day out they do it, and therefore they are good at it. We are assuming. So your manager will also assume that yes. So I have hired Jay Pankaj, Suraj, Janki, or Kiran or Arpita, or Himanshu, and these are the names appearing in front of my screen. That's the reason I'm taking these names. Or Falguni, for example, or I have hired Sapna, and it is expected that they are going to do their job well, or they are doing to good or create some differentiation at their work. What else? What is the X factor or the Y factor or the Z factor that you are bringing into the organization? What will differentiate Suraj from Jay, Jay from Kiran, Kiran from Arpita, and Arpita from Himanshu, Himanshu from Sapna, and Sapna from me? That is essentially your ability to communicate. If you are able to do that, at least in the first few years of your career, listening, speaking, reading, writing, and your non-verbal, if you are able to do that, you will stand a very good chance of making a brand or making a mark for yourself in the organization. So let me close this with one example, and I'll stop it at that. Okay. There was this lady in my office. So I don't visit Pune frequently, but when I go to Pune, so there was this lady. She got married to one of the Army Navy officers based out of Vizag. So she was we had worked for some time, and then her name was Aditi, and she was in another different team, but being in the same department, we worked together. The most different thing about that lady or Aditi was she used to smile. Always, every time there was a smile on her face. Whether she is happy, whether she is unhappy, whether her boss has scolded her, or whether our boss has praised her, or whether I have said something harsh to her, whether I have said something good to her, she is always smiling. And the day of her farewell, I was there. By chance, I had been to Pune, and the Pune team was giving farewell to her. I told it in front of everyone. The most charming thing about Aditi was that she was the person who will always be remembered for a smile. Just imagine, it is now about 6 years now, and I'm still quoting the same example of this girl, right? Of this lady who was a colleague of mine. Imagine the kind of impact that you would have. How many people would come out, or how many people would actually be able to create a brand for yourself just on the basis of a smile, right? That is essentially how communication can make a difference for yourself, right? I hope this is helpful on a Saturday afternoon after your lunches. I do not expect to extend it a little more. So I'm sharing my coordinates, my contact details. So just give me a second. So hopefully you can see my screen. I'm sharing my contact. So you can connect me on LinkedIn, Twitter, WhatsApp, or call me or email me as well, right? However, I'm not on Facebook. Please do not search for me in Facebook. I've deactivated that account. I find it an absolute utter waste of time. So sorry if you don't agree with me on this, but that is how it is. But it's okay. That's fair enough. Okay. So Narendra is asking a question. Jay, I'll take your question. Just hold on. Narendra is asking the question, what is the name of the book? So first one is Gift of the Gab, and the second one is Business Communication. These are the two. Business Communication, Connecting at Work, and the Gift of the Gab. Okay, so let me take up the questions now. So there is a question from Jay. Grabbing the Vishugula. Okay, thanks. Okay, Jay. So, okay. Now Jay wants to ask a question, or has asked a question. How important is communication skills in grabbing the opportunity? Now, Jay, I will tell you about what a research suggests. The moment you walk into the room of a interviewer or the guy who is taking your interview for a job, first 7 to 8 seconds is more than enough, or there is a mental bias that will be formed in the minds of every individual along with the interviewer, essentially on what kind of a person he or she is. So Jay, if you are walking into the cabin of an interview board of a panel, ensure that you make the impression in the first 7 or 8 seconds. That is the reason, Jay, why in most of the Hindi films, if you are an avid watcher of Hindi films, you will find that the hero, especially of the movie, has a dramatic entry. You will find him flying from the train or running out of the train track or singing a song and something is happening. That is the reason, Jay. It is to give you the feel-good factor. So if you can walk in like a Shah Rukh Khan or a Amir Khan, and if you can make the difference, or otherwise remain as Jay Pankaj Rao, doesn't matter. And if you are still able to keep the difference or maintain the difference or create a brand for yourself, go get it and clear it out. So that is how it is. Very, very important. So the first thing is your presentation, how you present yourself in front of the panel. Second, of course, most of it is your speaking skills, how you interact with the panel in front of you. And obviously, if they are convinced, if they're happy with you, they will definitely take you, Jay. Okay. So, Jay, hopefully it is answered.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Narendra, I have answered your question. Uddhav, when you talk about branding yourself, what do you mean as a brand? Brand, I would mean that not when I get sold off in the market or brand value and what you typically read in your books. Brand, according to me, is somebody who can be differentiated. Now, I am an IT person, right? So how many IT people are there in India? Millions, right? Okay. Now, if you have millions, will everybody know you? Probably no. What is that I am doing differently that would make me people sit up and realize, or that will make people sit up and take note of you? If you are able to do that, that is essentially what your brand is all about. So what I am talking about when I am talking about brand is essentially differentiate yourself from the rest of the people. If there are 40 people in the class, what is that differentiate yourself? I will give you an example, Uddhav. I do this exercise when I am face to face with the students. I do this in ICFI every year, ICFI Business School. I ask them to write 3 things about themselves which their colleagues may or may not know about themselves. I make that write it without their names and roll numbers and any kind of identification. Roll up the paper and start throwing at each other in the class. After 5 minutes of throwing the paper, right? Everybody picks up a sheet of paper and starts reading. And the lady or the guy who is reading that paper, apart from that, rest all the persons who are sitting in the class should be able to identify that person. You write 3 things about yourself. And you will be surprised to know, Uddhav, I have done this across B schools in India. Even after 1 year in the college together, 1.5 years in the college together, people do not know their friends in and out. You will be surprised to know when I tell you that people have become national winner in swimming. They have won gold medal in swimming. Sitting in the class, nobody knew about that. People have opened websites on dating, correct? People have opened matrimony websites. Okay. People have started their business on cyber securities, correct? People have black belts in class and no one was aware of it. People have played various kinds of games which nobody even have heard of it. National award winners also. There is one in my office whom I never knew. He's a very simple guy. National award winner of Indian cinema. So that is essentially what is a brand. If I have to ask you a question, how would you define brand Uddhav Bhandari? Correct? If you are able to answer that question, that is exactly your brand. Uddhav, is it answered?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So we'll take one more question, and can we?
Yes. So I will take the next one. Okay. So Nazrana has asked this question: how can we build self-confidence in ourselves? Now, okay, for the rest of the guy, I'll answer Nazrana, but for the rest of the people, please drop me an email. I have shared my email address. I'm typing this for you all. So you can drop me an email here. Let me type this for you all, and I will answer your questions personally. Okay, or you can WhatsApp me or call me up as well. I hope you have received my message. Okay, Nazrana, how can we build self-confidence in ourselves? Okay. Now, Nazrana, I will give you an example. When I was in class 5, I keep telling this to my wife and my father actually. When I moved from class up to class 4, I studied in one school, and it was an English medium convent school. And in class 5, I went to another school. It was a bigger one actually. Until class 4, we were kids, and mostly we used to talk in vernacular language, in our vernacular. I never had built up that ability to communicate in English. In those days, it was not so popular. My parents, my dad spoke English, but my mom never used to. Okay. So when I moved into the new school, and after my first term, I failed in English. Let me be very honest with this. Okay. And there's nothing wrong. I'm admitting that. So my teacher called me, my father, and said, Mr. Mukherjee, let me tell you one thing. So if your son does not improve in his English language and literature, I am sorry, but you will have to take your son out of this school and you will have to put him into some other school. My father got very scared of this, very scared. So he told, how can I help him and stuff like that. And so my dad started putting his entire focus on me, at least for class 5 and 6, and got my English back into some shape. So now, fast forward this, Nazrana, and what happened when my first book got published in 2013 with Oxford, and second book, in fact, and it was on business communication, and I published with Oxford University. I was one of the very young authors for Oxford. Oxford generally does not entertain young authors. I do not know why. But when it came out, the first thing my dad said after looking at the book was that, now we should take this book to your school teacher and we should show it to her what you have done. So that was his first reaction. So Nazrana, there are certain set of learnings from here. So self-confidence is something which nobody can inculcate in you. You have to build it within yourself. You have to struggle, figure out a way in essentially building out a way, or find out a way which you can capitalize on essentially in building up. Okay. One solution to this problem is that, Nazrana, do a SWOT analysis of yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Do 7 days. Just keep doing this. Figure out everything about yourself. Figure it out. Once you have done that activity, focus on your strengths. Try and reduce or minimize your weaknesses. Capitalize on the opportunities and keep the threats as it is. Don't touch upon the threats. Threats, you cannot do anything. These are external. Opportunities and threats are external. Work on your strengths. Say, for example, you dance very well or you sing very well. Capitalize on that. Take it to the next level. Can you dance at a level or something in Baroda? Can you do something in Baroda? Can you do something in your hometown? Start mixing with people, gather with them, and see how you can position yourself, which is something different from the rest of the people. That is what will build your self-confidence. But before anyway, Nazrana, it's a very generic answer. But however, I need to understand you more as a person, essentially to recommend you something. But do the SWOT analysis. That is something which is going to help you. Right? So I will stop at that. So Sapna has already given me the warning bell. So Shimpi, Darshit, so all of you, please, Smita, Uddhav, so all of you, please send me your questions on my email address. I have shared it with all of you. So please do that and I will answer your questions. If you want to talk to me, just let me know in advance and we will talk. We'll definitely talk. Well, I'll make some time out. I'll definitely talk with you all guys. So thank you, Sapna. Thanks for hosting this up. Thanks for hosting me up on a Saturday afternoon. Thanks you, Bijal ma'am. So I keep bothering you at time and again. But thank you for tolerating me. right? And hopefully I have been able to help Parul, and someday definitely I told this to Sapna as well as Bijal ma'am as well, and I definitely want to visit Baroda. Gujarat I have only visited once, that's in Ahmedabad, and I definitely want to have the Gujarati thali. That is definitely on my to-do list. So Sapna, definitely, and please tell Professor Bijal to invite me sometime once this corona is over, and I would definitely come down and have Gujarati thali, probably at your home or at somewhere outside.
Definitely, sir. It will be in fact our pleasure to have you here and invite you at Parul, and more privileged we will be to invite you at our places also.
Thank you, Sapna.
A dream come true. I think most of the students are dropping so wonderful feedback for your session. I hope that all of these students must have gathered a lot of information on the topic which you have chosen, and you had been a seasoned expert. I don't need to, with the words. However, I'll be in shortage of words to tell you like how wonderful session you had conducted, and we would love to have you back again and again, sir.
Yeah, sure, Sapna. Let me know whenever these guys want to catch up with me, any Saturday, Sunday. If they are okay with it, I am okay delivering that for them.
Yes,
we can do it methodically.
And though we have, a little bit gone ahead of the time limit, even I have got a message.
Yes,
so we have to wrap it up.
Thank you.